Yeah, I love this podcast because I'm getting inspired by you. So that's a pretty cool deal. That's old farts. We need ongoing inspiration, and and I love you said the word beautiful three times, and a beautiful creation is knowing that you're creating it based on solid science, but it's yours. And that's literally how you described. You got a little bit from us, a little bit from somebody else, a little bit somebody else, and now it's right now it's Andrew's. And based on your understanding, you can go right out onto the floor, and you can work with somebody and create something beautiful, a movement that they probably never experienced before, that turns on proprioceptors that haven't never been engaged that way, that make muscles work in a way that now they're moving with a little more fluidity. And you step back, and your comment would be, well, that's beautiful. And my comment would be, well, that's beautiful. That's a desire. I mean, that's a, if we can just go out there and create beauty, that's great. One of the things that inhibited me from creating beauty was that I didn't have a nomenclature to be creative, and I didn't have the process of, tweakology. So, for example, we did a video. They conned me into doing like a Facebook Live thingamabobber, and they said, we want you to do something on creating things. And I go, okay. And so I asked our people there, says, just start with a jumping jack and create something beautiful. They didn't say beautiful. They just said create some tweaks to it. Well, with the power of tweakology and the power of nomenclature, at the end of 40 minutes, I was able to prove to everybody watching that they had the potential of creating 1.4 million jumping jacks.
Wow.
Okay, that's different than the frontal plane one that we all learned. And so, but to get to that creation, to get to that ability, you have to kind of have some foundational understanding that will open up the door and allow you to create like that. A lot of great creators who have beautiful creation, when you go back into their history, they've had an amazing foundation of something that allowed them to blossom. You don't get to see the roots in the ground, but you see this amazing tree with the great limbs and powerful, uh, good looking leaves, and just you go, oh, you look at the beauty of that and go, that's cool, but you don't really understand how they rooted, how they got that to begin with. And so I just, it's easy to comment on that because, again, I think that's what it's all about. Uh, Having the empowerment to be ourselves, take the best of what we think is the best, um, be Andrew, and then having pride of being able to go out and creating something beautiful on behalf of the client. Not sure you can say it better than that.
No, sometimes we're talking, and maybe you've noticed that I look down and I pick up my pen and I'm writing stuff on these pieces. I've got like 3 pieces of paper here, Gary. But just I want to share some of the things that I've written. Just then, and I've circled. I wrote Van Gogh, because you're an artist, to be honest, and you're incredibly creative. The way that you educate is incredibly creative, and the way that you've looked at the human body and shared that is very creative. So you're an artist. Below that, I wrote Copernicus, because I went back to Nicholas Copernicus, because you've been someone that's had an observation and had, I'm going to use your words, the nuts. You've had the courage to come forward and say, hey guys, I think we can do things better. And you created that. Then you've had the courage and the creativity and the strength to go ahead and create something. And put it out there to the world. And then I also wrote underneath that, when you said tweakology, I believe that's a word that you made up. I'm not sure. I also wrote Shakespeare. What did Shakespeare made up? I think it was like 1,700 or 2,000 words added to the English language because of him. Jaded was one, and I think assassination was one. But you're the Shakespeare of the movement industry, because you're making up your own words that now we all use. You're the William Shakespeare of movement. You say the Van Gogh, the Copernicus, and the William Shakespeare of the movement industry, mate. Far out. Big
Well,
shot.
that's actually too kind. It's I view it quite different. I'm just kind of the dork trying to figure it out. And even you get the example of making up words. I don't like to be a part of something where they have their own code words. I remember the first time I took a yoga class, they were saying you're going to do a downward dog now, and I'm sorry, I wasn't privy to that, stuff. And so when we started making up words, we did it to be cute, which is a wrong reason. And now we have a rule that the only time you can make up a word is if there really isn't a better word out there, and then you think that word's going to stick. Like econcentric. All muscles function eccentrically and concentrically at the same time. So we learned it very individual, either eccentric or concentric. Now we expose that a little more, because in the transformational zone, there's a point where it changed direction that you could really justify isometric. So now we have eco, isocentric. And so like, oh crap, another new name, but it allows us to go, but when I get back here to throw a ball, here's what this muscle's doing in all three planes of motion. And so it's lengthening here. It's stopped. It's at a point of isometrics right here, not just for a fraction, but now I'm concentrically here while I'm still eccentrically loading it somewhere. So we try to make up words that allow us to understand better and not to confuse us, or not to say, I know this word and you don't. No. So that's and again, Shakespeare, I think we're using most of his words that he made up, so it's not like he made up a bunch of words and now, I'd be interesting to know what percentage of the words we now currently use to express ourselves that he allowed us to express ourselves better. That'd be kind of a fun thing to look at.